Hi there. Welcome to Canceling COVID. I'm Tanya Riven. So glad to be with you yet again on a Tuesday. We've been doing this now for almost 2 years. Well, it's been 2 years now. We've been saying almost for a while. Most importantly, you've been right here supporting us, which is so important. We're glad to be a part of your midday. We meet here every week at 11 a.m., bringing you information, resources, real talk, real solutions, and relevant information. And as always, really a good thing for you to tune in. We ask that you please share as you come on board, and we welcome your comments as well. In addition to that, we have to always say thank you to our sponsors. That's Groundwater Solutions and Genesis Project, groundwater-solutions.org, 704-596-0505. Again, thank you for tuning in to Canceling COVID. I've had some conversation, and we're talking about rebranding it first and foremost, but also talking about changing the name so that it just includes so many different things that we feel like we should talk about. And certainly we'll continue to keep you informed about that. Of course, another great day for you to get out and enjoy yourself. I'll share some other information with you later on as we continue to move on. But for now, let's talk about a topic that we don't hear a whole lot about, and that's the loss of lives. You know, we lost more than 1 million lives here in the U.S. as a result of COVID. And of course, no one saw that coming, and we really didn't have a grasp on the pandemic. Deaths are still happening, but they are much lower now, and that's because of the advances in medicine, and also because you made the decision to go ahead and follow some of the advice that had been put out. I see a lot of criticism now from people, even talking about maybe they didn't think it was worth it. But if you lost anyone, especially a loved one, then certainly you have to appreciate that. If these vaccines are saving lives, then you can appreciate that oh so much. I have the honor of bringing on with me someone who actually took her whole pain and made it into a purpose to help others. And I'm talking about none other than Quanika Falls Edmonds. She's with Connecting the Gap. And I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Tell us, what is Connecting the Gap?
So, Connecting the Gap, we are a nonprofit. We help youth and young adults who are grieving the loss of a parent or primary caregiver. We help connect them with resources in the community to make sure that they're successful post graduation, and to also make sure that they have an optimistic life while tackling that grief.
So now you created this as a result of the pandemic. Is that how it was birthed?
Well, kind of. I feel like God gave me this vision while I was in college. I mean, yes, while I was in college. I
Okay.
lost my mom at the age of 14. She was 35. And just to put it into perspective, I'm 35 years old.
Okay.
So, I graduated from college and came back to Charlotte. I graduated from UNC Wilmington, moved back to Charlotte in 2012. Did some work in the community. And when the pandemic hit in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people experienced grief. And I
Right.
feel like it it brought up more grief for me. So it really
Right.
kind of took me back to re-grieve or continue grieving
Mhm.
the loss of my mother. Um, and also in that summer, a classmate, he died. He passed away in Lake Norman, and he left behind 3 kids.
Oh,
And, we were the same age, and I had just had my little girl, and I was like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to do this.
yeah.
And so in 2020, completed my paperwork and, got this started. And I couldn't believe that it just wasn't no organization out here meeting the need for kids grieving the loss of a parent. And
So
so,
what age group do you target?
so we target, school age 6 to, and we go all the way up to 22 years old. However, I do help caregivers and I do help infants, under the 6, whatever they may need. So
Right.
like this past summer, we did a diapers and wipes drive. So we were able to donate boxes of diapers and wipes to caregivers who are caring for infants and toddlers, because also during the pandemic, a lot of mothers died after giving birth.
They sure
Um,
did. They sure did. So I want to first of all say, of course, our condolences, the loss of your mom, and I salute you. You're very, very strong to go ahead and finish school and then take up this whole effort And then I want to chime in and say that you're absolutely right. I've had this conversation with others, and not to take away from Kindermorn, but I have been told there are not very many organizations around that really works with parents or the siblings when they lose their parents, or the moms or the grandmother or the father, whoever. When you lose a parent, the other person, they have to carry this with them as well. And there really aren't a whole lot of resources out there for them. So thank you for picking that up. That kind of leads to my question: do you just work with children, or do you work with some of the parents of the children as well?
Yes, so we do work with the caregivers as well,
Okay.
because the caregivers have to be healthy and they also have to tackle their grief and their mental health while caring for a grieving child.
And you
So,
just said that. So, yeah.
yep. So, we offer counseling not only for the child, but for that caregiver. And
Uh-huh.
now we're meeting two generations. We're tackling two generations.
Wow. Well, you talked about one of the activities that you did, collecting the wipes and the diapers. What are some of the other activities that you've been able to do?
Now we have our Yes initiative going on, Youth Exposure Summit, and we
Hmm.
have been able to connect kids ages 4 to 18 to participate in any extracurricular activity of their choice, right? And not only pay for them to participate in an extracurricular activity, we were also able to provide $100 gift card to the caregiver to offset gas.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
so we, it's really how can we help kids to keep going? How can
Right.
we, while they're grieving? What
Yeah,
is it
because
that
it's
we can
tough.
do?
How did
Mhm.
you manage to keep going?
So yeah, so my nonprofit is the blueprint of my life.
Okay.
I was a real big time athlete out of Charlotte. I was homecoming queen. I was student government. So I had all these accolades, but a lot of my peers did not know I had just lost my mom going into high school that summer.
Hmm.
But because I had the mentors, I had the coaches, I had teachers. And if you look on our website, you will see my sponsorship packages are named after people who helped me, the community, the educators, the coaches, the friends. And so I had all of them to help guide me and connect me with different resources to make sure that I was successful post graduation.
That is so special and so cool. I'm so glad that our paths crossed and we had an opportunity to meet and to have this conversation. And when you shared it with me, you said, I just had to do this. And I appreciate you filling that void in the community because, again, people handle grief in many different ways. How do you adjust to that?
So yeah, so what we see is when a child experience a traumatic event in their life, meaning like losing a parent, their mortality rate increases because of their due to their vulnerabilities to their surroundings.
Hmm.
And how can I change their vulnerabilities and how can I change their surroundings? Connecting, it's not really about me doing this by myself.
Hmm.
It's how can I connect families with other organizations that can help aid them, that can pick them up. So my goal is to whatever connections, whatever organizations, like we partner with Beds for Kids, and we
Okay.
have an economic pillar, and so we're able to provide because we're partnered with them. We're able to provide furniture, beds, and so that's my goal. But it can become a little heavy, right? So
Yes.
it's kind of like because when you hear these stories, from a child finding their mom on the floor with the overdose of fentanyl,
Right, right,
to a child in a car accident with their mom and their grandparent, and they survived, but their mom and their grandparent
Ooh,
did not. I mean, it's so many of these stories that I see, and I just try to take it for what it is, right? And not try to bring it home. It can become a little heavy, but the success is to see the success stories and to
right.
see where they started at and where they are now. So that's kind of,
You know what? You really are a blessing and such a gift. Again, Quanica Falls Edmonds. Connecting the Gap is the name of her organization, a 501c3. And it's really a ministry because it takes a special person to be able to navigate and deal with the pain and the suffering. And grief, it's tough. I mean, I'm still grieving. I lost a brother during COVID, and it wasn't to COVID. I feel like it was a result of all the rules and everything that was happening. So, when what if we weren't in COVID, perhaps there's something else that we could have done, even talking to the doctors. I know I would have felt a lot better, but because we were restricted as far as access and everything was popping off when it happened, it's just really, really tough. And everyone's going to have their moments, and I have to caution people, and people caution me when you see someone handling death of a loved one. Everyone grieves differently, and we have to keep that in mind. And here you are working with our babies, our young ones, or the caregivers, which means the surviving parent or
Mhm.
grandparent, and taking on that burden, which is a whole lot. I mean, that's some real heavy lifting. So, what kind of support are you getting? Do you need? Let us know.
I just need the our community to back me,
Okay.
and provide, the partnerships, um, the resources. I just want to be able to say, hey, this child lost their parent and they need your resource, right?
Right.
Over COVID, I know you said the world, it was a million, but over 200,000 kids lost a parent or caregiver.
Wow.
And, I it's no organization like this. And 20 years later, I was just so surprised that that it just wasn't an organization like this. So I just want you guys, to support me, volunteer, just
So, when you say volunteer, Kwanika, what are some ways that we can volunteer? I mean, what can be
okay.
done as a volunteer?
Yep. So we have, I call my volunteers MVPs. So
Okay.
MVPs, so you can volunteer through mentoring, virtual volunteer, production, bring your own, production. And you can also volunteer as serving when we have
Okay.
events in the community. And so if you go on our website, you can look at ways to volunteer. And I also have an ambassador program. So an ambassador program for youth to
Okay.
kind of, because I want youth to be involved and to see their youth, they just lost a parent and this is what they're doing and it's inspiring. And so
So, how do you find the participants for your program? Are they by referrals? Do you have a relationship with the county or social services?
so um I we know the kids are there. I
Okay.
know the kids are there. I can't meet the need. I can't meet the capacity, right? And we are growing rapidly.
Okay.
Um And so I really just kind of been trying to make sure we have a great foundation, and make sure that we're giving quality service. And so now I am, talking to the county and saying, hey, I have this organization and we need the funding. And
Right.
I'm so excited to, I have a couple of grants out there that I'm excited to hear about in December that I think will change the trajectory of our program for 2023. And so, but yeah, we know that the need is out here.
Right. Right.
We don't have a problem getting the kids. It's a
Right.
problem, serving the kids and having the bodies.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. I thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. I thank you for your heart to serve the community, connecting the gap. Can you tell us anything else that we didn't cover? Because I certainly, we're interested in getting the word out.
Yes, a lot of people ask. I had a lady come up and say, "Well, who do you serve? Like, what, who do you serve?" Of course, they have to have lost a parent, but we
Right.
know death can happen to anyone, white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Right.
And grief hits everyone the same. That's one thing. Grief is going to hit everyone the same. And right now, a lot of our population have been blacks and Hispanics, and they have been lacking the resources. But we take anyone, we take any and everyone. Um, so, I mean, our main goal is to really tackle grief. We have 5 pillars. Now we have health and wellness,
Okay.
education, economic empowerment, counseling, and health and wellness, education, counseling, economic empowerment. I'm missing one.
That's okay. You'll think of it as I continue.
Uh,
I'm the same way. Even if you have to grab, this is all informal. I mean, you're amongst friends here, and that
yeah,
happens. So please
health
share
and
your
wellness,
website.
education,
There you go.
advising.
There
So
you go.
so what we do is when we say mentoring, it's pretty much advising. So we partner a family with an advisor that
Hmm.
check on that family quarterly. to make
Okay.
sure, hey, is there anything that you may need? For instance, right now I have a young lady who's about to start tutoring. She lost her mom at the airport to a
Oh,
massive heart attack, first grader, and she's behind in reading. So
oh,
not
my.
only did she have COVID, she also lost her mom, but we have been able to provide her, we are able to provide her 10 sessions of tutoring. And so, those are things, and that goes under our education pillar.
Right. That's some good stuff you're doing. Again, Quanica Falls, Edmonds. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, please.
Yes, our website is www.connectingthegap.org. Our IG is Connecting the Gap. My personal is Quanica Falls Edmonds, as well as LinkedIn, Connecting the Gap.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. And we will continue to have this conversation to help get awareness out about all the great work
Oh,
that
yeah.
you do in our community.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Tanya.
Thank you as well. Some great stuff for you. Again, connecting the gap, that is, and your opportunity to get involved. You can go to their website, connectingthegap.org. Oh, what a beautiful heart to serve those that are grieving. And certainly, we lost a lot of people as a result of the pandemic. But just that aside, we lose people every day. And grief, the whole process, it varies for everyone, and it's not easy by no means. Now, coming up, we've got Dr. Tricia Black joining us, and she's going to comment on this as well as give us an update about what's happening in the community. Well, as sometimes I have to do is pull double duty, and I'm at the radio station also this morning, and I always try to make plans or do what is needed to pre-record. And in this situation, that's what we're doing. And I often have to do this because everybody has, we've got busy schedules and things happen. So thank you again for connecting the gap. Great information. Please support the sister any way you can as she continues to work in the community. But now it's time for an update from Groundwater Solutions Genesis project as they continue to work in the community. And Dr. Tricia Black, she's on the road traveling. So Earl Owens is joining us this morning. He's always great to step in and give us information. So good morning, Earl. How are you this morning?
Oh, good morning, man. I'm doing all right.
Great, great. And thank you for taking the time to join us. So we're headed into the winter season. Flu season is going to be upon us. But kind of give us an update. Are you all seeing a spike just yet in COVID? People catching COVID? Is there an increase, or we're still kind of maintaining for now?
So I wouldn't really say there's an increase, but I would also say that COVID is here.
Uh-huh.
There are still cases, but the community feels like that they're past it. So as you can tell just by getting up in the morning and trying to make it to work, traffic is plenty of traffic, so people are outside. All the schools are open. So what we have now are colds and flus. And of course, there's a misconception. Do you have a cold? Do you have the flu? Or do you have COVID?
Oh, yeah, that's got to be kind of
yes.
tough. Yeah, that's tough. So how do we know whether we have cold or flu or COVID?
There's only one way to find out, and you have to test.
You got to take the test.
You got to take the test, right? And fortunately enough, they have made these tests available at your local pharmacies. Right. And of course, you can always come to Genesis Project One and get tested at no cost to you. So we encourage that. We encourage the vaccinations as well, and the flu shot also.
And you know what, too, Earl? Hopefully some people still have some of those test kits at home, but there may be a challenge with doing them properly and getting not having them give you a false reading. I think that's one of the concerns that some people are having about testing at home.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that, too. I myself, I do not test at home. I test at the office regularly, because I'm out in the community a lot. But I'm also fully vaccinated. So I encourage you out there in the public to just please, be diligent on your COVID awareness. Pay attention to any public announcements. Get tested regularly, especially if you're in school or in the workplace.
Well, Earl, now let's talk about the booster shot. I mean, there is a big recommendation, a big push for people to get the booster shot as we approach flu season. Are you all providing that as well?
Absolutely. So, and I encourage that as well. As long as the CDC is putting out recommendations for these vaccinations, whether it's your first shot or your fourth shot. I encourage you, to take that step and take those measures to further protect yourself and your family.
And there was recently, I believe I did the story last week of how the emergency approval for the booster for children ages 5 and older, whereas before it was just 12 and older. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's simply because the schools are completely open now,
Right, right.
and it's most definitely recommended that your children get fully vaccinated and boosted as well, because those are carriers. Our
Well,
young people are.
go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was just saying our young people, are the most vulnerable, and so they bring it home to you.
And that's the thing. We're going to be in closed spaces more and more now, more people together. And I just, if we would all just be considerate of others, especially if you got a cold or if you're coughing, at least have your mask on if you insist on being out. I've been seeing a little bit of backlash from people still making negative comments, about the vaccine and all the steps that are being taken. Are you guys seeing that or hearing that at all, out in the community?
Of course, and then you have to take into consideration, that there's a population of people that could care less about COVID. They're more concerned about having something to eat or a place to sleep. So, but I think that for the most part, our engagement is based around the education and the just the basic facts, of this virus. And in our communities, everyone almost knows somebody that has been severely impacted by COVID. So I think that the backlash is just coming towards just not wanting to be in the house anymore.
Right.
And they see the rest of the world outside, and people just want to get outside. But again, that's doable. Just protect yourself. Do what's necessary. Take the vaccinations. Get tested regularly. If you're in mass crowds, please, wear your mask.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. And if you do start feeling a little sick, don't hesitate to call off from work or call off from school. They got things in place now to where you won't be punished for taking off from school or from taking off from work if you're sick. So, take advantage of these amenities that are being provided for us.
Well, real quick, too, you provide an update on what's happening with Groundwater Solutions Genesis project. I see Dr. Black has been spending some time across the state working real hard. So a quick update from you would be very helpful as well.
Oh yeah. So right now, we've got a few projects going on, and one being our mobile wellness clinics, which Dr. Black is now up in the Henderson area, Vance County, and the 5 counties, setting up mobile care units, which will be able to go out into the community, provide COVID testing, vaccinations, and other materials that support wellness, whether that be behavioral health, mental health, substance use, physical health. We're approaching all pillars of wellness, and we're doing that, in your community. We're able to literally pull up with a trailer in your community and set up a mobile clinic for community members that struggle to get to clinics and struggle to get to doctors, to get services.
So that's very, very good stuff. Again, Earl Owens taking the time to join us to give an update. Groundwater Solutions, groundwater-solutions.org. Also, Genesis Project, 704-596-0505. Before we let you go, is there anything else you would like to add?
Yes, and Genesis Project 1 is also entrenched in the housing issue in Mecklenburg County. So we are now in combat, with the community needs to provide fair and affordable housing, as well as emergency housing for those that are homeless. We are out there ready to do our part, and we are taking the steps, partnering with other agencies and grassroots organizations to form a consortium so that we can as community members, do something about an ongoing problem.
Oh, that's some amazing stuff. So we're going to keep you guys in mind with that, because that right there starts a whole nother conversation, especially when it comes to affordable housing and just housing for our community. So again, thank you so much. Earl Owens with Genesis Project, a Groundwater Solution, stepping in for Dr. Tracia Black and doing a great job as always. Enjoy your day, Earl, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Great stuff for you as always. And it's time for me to wrap things up, folks. We appreciate you tuning in, joining in, receiving this information, and recognizing what we're trying to do is to continue to keep you informed, keep you empowered, as well as bring resources. Now, I'm really excited about this conversation now where he mentioned housing and Genesis Project involved. They're doing some great stuff over there at Groundwater Solutions / Genesis Project. Well, I'm in the studio today and tomorrow at the radio station, Praise 100.9. Please tune in. It's 100.9 on the radio dial or praisecharlotte.com online. Hopefully you'll tune in and get the very best variety of gospel music. It means I also need to go. I've got to hop off now. As always, life's challenges make you better, not bitter. Thank you so much for showing up every week. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for recognizing our efforts to keep you informed, to keep you inspired, bringing you real talk, as well as real resources. And we are about community working together, because we are convinced that, yes, indeed, with the efforts that we have, we will continue to talk about what's important, because our goal, of course, is to cancel COVID, not as the cancel culture, we're here today, gone tomorrow, but to keep bringing you information that's impactful, insightful, and certainly that you can benefit from. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Enjoy your day. Be well, be safe, be alert, and always check on your neighbor. I'm Tanya Rivens. Thanks for tuning in to Canceling COVID. Enjoy the rest of your day.